Hi friends, welcome back to Three Barrow Farm and to my very unkept garden. My name is Amy and I am living on 42 acres with my family of 5 and we live off-grid in central Victoria. And I've been away recently and I've come back to a very overgrown garden. I mean, look at this garden. It is completely overrun with plants going to seed. I've got my fennel over here going completely wild. And then I've got all my Asian greens and my kales going to seed. So I really need to make a big effort of chopping out all of the winter vegetables that are going to seed that I don't want to keep in my garden and make room for all the spring, summer planting. This vegetable patch isn't as unkept as my one over there, but as you can see, all the sprouting broccoli has gone to seed. And I don't know if you've ever tried, but putting the sprouting broccoli flowers in salads is really lovely. They taste really nice. They have a taste of broccoli in them. And I'm going to be harvesting some of these and making a salad with some of the lettuces that I have ready today as well. My chickens are really going to enjoy eating the rest of all of these plants that are going to seed. And as you can see in the pathway over here, the grass has grown a massive amount in the past 6 days. So everything seems to have grown almost a foot or two in only under 1 week. As you will know, there's always so much to do before you go away camping. There's so much to pack. And when you've got lots of animals and a property like this, there's even more you need to do to prepare to leave. So we were doing as much as we can. And I've just thrown over some netting over some of the seedlings that I had planted before I'd left. And I also threw a net over my garlic that's growing because I know that those cockatoos love to come down and just rip the garlic apart. So I needed to make sure that my garden was protected from those pesky cockatoos. So let's have a quick walk through the garden and see what's growing right now. Okay, so it is Saturday morning and the first thing that we are going to do after I've filmed this video is we're going to come out here and we're going to mow. Now we did all the mowing and brush cutting before we left, but everything has grown so much and the grass is also going to seed. So I had some grasses growing in here among these garlics and calendulas. Everything has taken off so much. I was able to see these garlics before we left, but now they are really overshadowed by everything else. So I'm going to be spending the next week or so attending to this patch here because I've really let it go. I've got some beetroot going to seed here, which I think I will be collecting the seed from. So we will be leaving these plants to go to seed. See, the flowers are going to come out of here eventually. And I've got a few different varieties going to seed in this spot here. I've also got these spring onions that are also starting to go to seed. Oh, and I've got my very first cornflower coming up here. That's exciting. I've also got capeweed and loads of grass in the path here. This is a real issue and I have to get on top of this today because I don't want snakes thinking this is a nice spot to live. As you can see, the mint is going crazy and I need to start dehydrating this. I have not had my dehydrators going for 1 week now. So I'm going to pick some of this today and get it straight into the dehydrators to dry. Got so many dandelion flowers to harvest. And here I've been protecting my chives from the birds coming down and destroying them. But as you can see here, my chives are making some flowers and some of the chive leaves are getting really, really thick and lovely. And here we have the rest of the Brussels sprouts. They are obviously going to seed here. I'm going to be pulling these out, or rather cutting them out, because I don't want to pull up the soil and the seeds from underneath my layers of compost and manure. I will probably harvest some of these as well. just take off some of these stems and use the flowers in salads over the next few days. So right next to all this grass and this pile of cardboard that I'm going to use through the pathways where all this grass is growing. So I'm going to smother the grass or whatever seed might be left, and then I'll put some wood chip over and just do wood chip paths through here. But here we've got my nettle and it's growing so lovely. So I'm going to be harvesting some of this to dry as well, but I'm also going to be using it fresh over the next few months in smoothies and in tea. So in this little section here, you can see that I've started doing this path, and I've got some cardboard here, and I've started putting down some mulch on top. And I've got some beautiful corianders here, just growing so beautifully. These are going to seed, but they're so lush. You can still pick them while they're going to seed as well. They still taste the same. And I've got all these baby leeks coming up along here as well. I've got a few rows of them. So the seed that I've dropped in here has worked perfectly. I've got this big bush of leek that came from seed naturally dropping from another leek that had gone to seed. So I'm probably going to be harvesting most of this out of this clump over the next few weeks. I'm also going to be pulling out all of this fennel that's just growing everywhere. I've got so much fennel in my garden, and most of it isn't bulbing. Most of it is bronze fennel, so I'm going to be chopping it out. Let's go and have a look at these broad beans. I really do need to do some supports on these broad beans. But before I left, they were just starting to pod, and now some of them are getting a little bit fatter, but I'm not sure if there's any completely ready to pick yet. Let's just open one and have a little look. So this one's got some nice young seeds in it. They're quite small, but they're really tasty when they're this small. So you can just eat them whole, or you can cook them up. Really nice. I've just pulled out this leek because it was growing a bit like this sideways, and I could use some leek in the kitchen today. So with the leek, just like with my spring onions as well, I'm going to be harvesting a lot of them, and then I'm going to be chopping them up and just freezing them fresh. And then I can just pull the bag out and pull out the portion out of the bag that I want to use when I'm cooking. And it's there ready to use whenever I need it. You just chuck it in the pan, fry it up, and you've got your leek or your spring onion for your dish. Oh, wow. I'm quite amazed by this cauliflower. So before I left, there wasn't even a head that was visible on this plant. And now look at the cauliflower. My kids have been asking for cauliflower cheese. So I'm going to be making that tonight, I reckon, with this beautiful, beautiful sized cauliflower. They're going to really enjoy that. So this row here is probably the closest row, full row, to planting out. I've pretty much harvested everything from here. It needs a bit of work. It needs some compost and manure put on top. And there's quite a bit of grass growing in this section of the garden, but that's okay because I've got these markers. Now these markers are where we're going to be moving the start of my vegetable rows. So I'm going to be planting from here back. And this front section here, I'm just going to let things go to seed and collect seed, particularly from the coriander, and I'm going to let the broad beans keep growing in the other rows and items that I have not harvested from yet. But for all future planting, I'm going to be going from this marker backwards. Oh, I just saw something. Look at this. My first poppy heads that I've just spotted, and this makes me think we better go and check the other really big poppy plants I have growing in my other garden. So this row has some lettuces in the front here and some kale that's going to seed. And these lettuces will be harvested from before we move these patches, and the line comes up all the way up to basically up to these lettuces here. So this has all been under netting to protect it. Oh, wow. Look at all of the primrose seedlings coming up. I'm going to have to dig those out or pull them out or just sort of scuff the surface of the soil to remove them. And these lettuces are massive. These are huge. I'm going to harvest these this weekend and we're going to have some very yummy salads. You can see that this vegetable garden is so much well maintained, and I'm going to be planting all my tomatoes along this row here. So I need to start prepping this row for the tomatoes. And I can't see any flower heads on these poppies yet. But as you can see, they are so much bigger than that poppy plant I was showing you over in my other garden. The thyme is looking so lush and I really need to start harvesting some of this to dry. I'm also spotting some flowers of the thyme coming up as well. And it will be great to harvest some of these lettuces to use over the next few days as well. This sprouting broccoli, I could probably harvest a bit more of it, even though it's clearly going to flower. And this part here has already flowered. There are still a few bunches that will be lovely to put in a stir fry. And I've got so much of this big giant red mustard growing in my garden. I've got a whole row of them along here. And so much parsley to pick as well. All of it's going to flower. Eventually this will be covered in flowers if I leave it. And I've got some endive coming up as well. I never ever have to plant endive in my garden. It just comes up every single year. And I also allow some of these to go to seed. So I've just got it coming up all the time. But it's so nice when it's this size here and hasn't gotten too big. There is so much kale to harvest. I harvested a massive amount of kale to take away camping with us, including 1 cabbage and 2 cauliflowers and lots of spring onions. I just couldn't help but take the garden with me while we were camping. I didn't want to waste the food, but all of this won't go to waste either. I will continue to harvest all of this kale and freeze it and eat it in all these meals that we'll be cooking over the next few weeks. And I'm also going to dehydrate some of it as well. There's also some kale plants along here that haven't gone to seed yet, among some that have. So I've still got lots of kale to harvest from. There's quite a lot of grass growing up among this line here, so I really do need to get on top of all of this. But look at my chamomile. It is coming back slowly and I'm impatiently waiting for some fresh chamomile flowers to come up. Oh, look, here's one of those really odd snails that we get. I don't know if it's like a dam thing, like it was coming up from our dam water, but I don't often see one moving around. I don't know if they eat very much. They're very small, but if you know what this sort of snail is, it almost looks like a sea snail, and I don't know if it's because of the salt content in our dams that we are working on. And I've got a carpet of calendula growing through here, along with this that has come up, which I believe is from the chicken seed. So it must be one of the grains. And look at that, it curls up. And then it comes out with the flowers. If you know what this is, let me know. I'm going to try and identify it with my plant app. But yeah, it's very interesting. Well, that is a little glimpse of what has been going on in my garden this October and what has happened while I've been away. I have quite a lot of work cut out for me, but it is good work and the weather is improving. It's getting sunnier and warmer. I'm able to be out here without a neck scarf, which is amazing. We even swam in water holes while we were away. It was so delightful. I really, really enjoy being in the water and being out there in nature. I did miss my garden though, so I'm very, very grateful to be back. And I'm looking forward to getting my tomatoes and my capsicums, my zucchinis, everything out into the garden under frost cloth at first, of course, because well, we can still get some frosts here in October and November, so I've got to be careful there. I've also got some new seeds. I just got another box of some items which I'm going to be sharing with you in another video very soon. I hope you are all well, and I hope you find some time for a break here and there. It was really lovely to get away for 5 days, but it doesn't take away the big to-do list that we still have here on our farm. However, we feel like we've had a bit of a reset. So I'm looking forward to getting into things and bringing you some more videos again too. I had all the intentions of filming a few videos and having them come out while I was away, but that did not happen. It was too busy, too hard to get everything done in time for us to leave our farm. And a big thank you to my mum and dad for coming here and feeding our animals each day. We took the dogs away with us on our trip. They thoroughly enjoyed camping, but I think they're really, really happy to be back on the farm. I hope your garden is less crazy than mine and that your seedlings are growing strong, friends. I will see you again very soon.